What's going on, guys? Sam Adams here, and welcome to another episode of Caffeinate. Today on twitch.tv/Samuel Adams Live. That's right, after much consideration, we have chosen to move the entire show over to twitch.tv/Samuel Adams Live. As I said, now the show itself is still going to be going up on youtube.com/Samuel Adams Media on top of various podcast services around the world. However, considering the fact that the live portion of the show has never really taken off on the YouTube channel, I figured that we would continue to populate it over there whenever the show does conclude. But for the live version, why not go ahead and try it out on the talk shows and podcast directory over here on twitch.tv. And so, of course, for those that may be new to the show, this is a daily gaming news podcast that I host live right here on Twitch every single weeknight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, talking about the hottest gaming news coming out of the industry throughout the day, and I will keep you guys informed along the way. And today, fittingly, we are talking about TwitchCon 2018 because a lot of information, a lot of statistics came out of that keynote presentation, and so we will talk all about that, and I'll let you guys know about the future of Twitch because, boy oh boy, is it looking pretty bright in my opinion. Now, on top of that, we do have some confirmation that the MediEvil PS4 remake is going to be getting a full trailer coming out on Halloween. Tons of more games, if that's correct grammar, are going to be coming to the PlayStation Hits, I believe is what it's called. Tons of new games coming out that you can get for $20 a pop, those that may be legendary in terms of the PlayStation 4. On top of that, 3 Resident Evil classics are heading to the Nintendo Switch. World War III has sold 100,000 units in 2 days, which is pretty impressive for an early access indie game. Team Sonic Racing is now delayed until spring of 2019. Pokémon Go has a brand new update coming out, and there is a Twitch streamer that has locked himself in a cage for 30 days. These are things we don't do, people. These are things we don't do. So we'll talk about that very briefly there at the end. But it is something to behold because, man, the dude is literally in a cage. However, that is a story for later on in the show. So again, welcome if you are new, and without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the hottest news of the day, starting off with a ton of information about TwitchCon 2018, specifically the keynote, because a lot of information came out of this thing. Amazon's game streaming platform is giving viewers more ways to be a part of Twitch streams. Also, you have some karaoke. Could be pretty interesting. Twitch CEO Emmett Shears set the tone for the 4th annual TwitchCon early, summarizing his keynote with a single sentence. Today, you're going to hear me say community 46 times. It sounds like my worst nightmare because I cannot say that word to save my life. Twitch isn't just a live video distribution service, it is a social platform, and it's nothing without a strong, dedicated community. We aren't just there for the show, Shear added, we are the show. Owning that attitude is part of what helps Twitch compete with other live streaming platforms, and TwitchCon 2018 kicked off with new tools and updates to give Twitch streamers more ways to interact with their community and other content creators. Here is everything Twitch just announced at TwitchCon 2018. And speaking of community, I do want to say to everybody hanging out in the chat, hello, welcome to the show. Hope you're doing well, and I hope you enjoy the show today. But we'll see what goes down. First off, the big reveal was squad streams, something people have been wanting on Twitch for a very, very long time. Twitch streamers who regularly play games like Fortnite, PUBG, or Destiny 2 together have a unique problem. They are all streaming together, but their content is split up between multiple streams. Viewers never get the whole show. With Squad Stream, Twitch is hoping to change that. Starting later this year, streamers will be able to squad up and simultaneously share all 4 of their broadcasts in a single viewer. Viewers will be able to seamlessly swap between channels and follow along with the chat of whichever stream they have selected as their main view. Not only does this solve the issue of fragmenting viewers between streams, but it's also built to help grow each individual content audience. Squad Stream will be tested with select streamers later on this year. That's a big one. On top of that, you have Snapchat filters coming to Twitch. That's right, Snapchat filters are going to be coming to Twitch streams starting today. Even if Snapchat's user numbers continue to decline, their use of filters has become a hallmark of online communication in recent years. That is why the company launched SnapCam today, an app that brings all those filters to your computer's webcam. Not only is it a fun idea, but it was announced at TwitchCon. Thanks to a custom Twitch extension, streamers will be able to integrate Snapchat lenses into their streams. streams. The filters can be changed based on what happens during the stream too. Get a new subscriber, you can configure the filter to celebrate with a rain of Twitch bits, or make your face explode with a purple Super Saiyan power-up lens. Those, by the way, are part of a small library of custom filters made just for Twitch. If viewers like the filters streamers are using, they can try them out for themselves by scanning an on-screen QR code. And so that's another way to interact with your audience. And on top of that, we have Twitch Sings, a video game designed for streaming. This is where you lose me. Community may be essential to the DNA of Twitch, but most video games are designed to be played, not watched. Twitch Sings hopes to change that. The social streaming platform teamed up with Harmonix to create a new karaoke game designed for live streaming. Twitch Sings isn't exactly a virtual karaoke bar. Spectators can't take the stage and sing on the host stream, but it will give the audience a myriad of ways to interact with the talent. And as just a factor to point out here, you should never say myriad of ways, it's just a myriad ways. I know it sounds wrong, but again, I gotta be the grammar patrol here, and I just gotta point that out. But it's more than just requesting songs. Users in chat will be able to hide the lyrics from the singer or issue challenges like Sing Like a Vampire. How's that happening? The game's multiplayer elements seem mostly asynchronous, there we go, but the game's announcement claimed there will also be a way to sing duets with the community. Should be pretty good. Also, Tony in the chat, what's going on? Welcome to the show. And on top of that, an updated highlight editor is also coming to Twitch. The Twitch highlight editor has always allowed streamers to grab the best moments from a stream and pull them out in an isolated shareable clip. The only problem was that it could pull a single moment into a clip at a time. Starting in January, the editor will be updated with tools that allow streamers to pull together multiple moments from a stream into the best of highlight clips. And of course, you do have updated community management tools, so essentially a ton of tools are going to be coming to the mods around you. And there are also brand new VIP badges as a way for streamers to recognize members of the community without going so far as making them a moderator. Creators will have 10 badges to start after they reach 50 followers and 5 unique chatters in a stream, essentially if they are affiliates, and can have up to 100 to hand out to their viewers. There are also another slew of minor tweaks on the way, including new roles manager, a page to keep track of mods and VIP users, as well as tweak a subscription badges to show the total number of months subscribed to the channel rather than how many months they have been subscribed for sequentially. So instead of having to be subscribed for 12 months in a row, you could be subscribed for 12 months over the 3 years and you still get 12 months. Pretty dang cool. And of course, there are more extensions coming to Twitch, as you would expect, because Twitch has announced it's partnering with other companies to bring even more to the platform, including Snapchat, as well as Adobe, Tiltify, Spotify, and Amazon. And there are a ton of other announcements you can check out on the official Twitch blog, which is covering everything that comes out of TwitchCon 2018. But as for right now, that pretty much gives you the overall gist of all of the new content coming to Twitch over the course of the next few months. And I must say that I'm pretty impressed. When it comes down to it, I think that Twitch has begun to hit a plateau where it is incredibly saturated nearly across every single aspect of the entire site, where whenever you have a certain game that comes out, for instance, today's launch of Red Dead Redemption 2, everybody is playing that game and tons of people are streaming it. When it comes to Black Ops 4, everybody is streaming that game. PUBG even, still with Fortnite, tons of people playing every big game. And so Twitch has to continue to grow and evolve and really branch out and try new ways for streamers to really set themselves apart and give new tools for people to prove themselves with, and I think that's exactly what is happening here. It's very interesting to see this Snapchat collaboration, and on top of that, Twitch Sings is a very interesting kind of concept, if nothing else, but we'll see what happens over the course of the next few months. I think it very well could be time for Twitch to try some new things, and they are certainly doing that. But out of all of the announcements, I must say that ditching the consecutive sub count is what I think really does kind of present the most value to me, because as somebody who subs and unsubs to channels frequently, because quite frankly I'm in college and sometimes I can't afford it, well, I do have to kind of give that up at some points. And so to be able to drop out for a month and say, hey, I don't have it this month, and come back in 2 or 3 months time and still maintain that sub month count, that's fantastic, and I think that's great for a lot of people who might not be able to afford that kind of thing. So we'll see what the next 12 months of Twitch does have to offer, and I'm sure many more announcements are going to be coming out over the course of the next 6 months. But as for right now, we will see what happens whenever people continue to react to the news coming out of TwitchCon. But speaking of people at TwitchCon and speaking of people of Twitch, there are a lot of them. Twitch adds 235,000 streamers to revenue programs in 2018, 6,800 partners. So if you want to read that like you know what Twitch is instead of whoever wrote this over on Variety, Twitch adds 235,000 affiliates in 2018 and 6,800 partners. Twitch CEO Emmett Shear expressed the importance of community on the platform and revealed new tools that we've just talked about, so we will skip down here. But there are some numbers that we do have to talk about. This year, over 235,000 streamers reached affiliate status and 6,800 reached the coveted partner status. To reach new heights, Shear showed how new tools will help streamers grow their communities, interact with their viewers, and make sure they thrive as a Twitch creator. And of course, we have talked about all of those tools thus far. But on top of that, many more numbers were given. I would say that there were a lot of statistics. I had them up, and apparently this article did not cover as many as I thought, but essentially tons of people are using Twitch. There have been, I believe, I wrote a couple of them down. 18.2 billion messages sent between chat and also sent between whispers. On top of that, 85 million cheers and subs were given and 150 million clips were made. And that, my friends, is very impressive. On top of the fact that at any given time on Twitch, there are 1 million plus concurrent viewers. That is right. 1 million people at any given time. I had to make sure that I was correct in that. 1 million people at any given time are watching a stream on Twitch. Let that sink in. Over 1 million people. According to the CEO Emmett Shear, that is comparable to being in the top 5 TV networks. That is insane. And so that just goes to show how much growth there has been over the course of the past year, over the past 5 years even. And of course, we are on Twitch's 11th year ever since it was established. And so right now you have a ton of people hitting their stride, a ton of people becoming famous, if you will, on the internet through Twitch. And I think it is something that is absolutely incredible. So the future of Twitch, my friends, is very, very bright. And I am proud to be a part of that affiliate group and a part of Twitch overall. I'm pretty happy about that. Now, Steffi in the chat has a good point. She says, and yet there are people who don't know what Twitch is. That just goes to show that more growth can come. Between Amazon's promotion on top of collaborations with big league NFL games and that kind of content, you are going to be seeing more and more people come into Twitch, more and more people buying bits, subs, etc., getting involved in communities. It could be a pretty awesome thing to witness. And so we'll continue following this up, and I will love to see what is going on next year this time whenever TwitchCon 2019 is rolling around. And who knows, maybe I will even be there. We'll see what happens. However, moving on to the next story of the day, MediEvil for PS4 will be a full remake with the first trailer coming out on October the 31st. The remake of the PlayStation Classic being developed by Other Ocean Interactive is going to be launching at some point in the next 6 months, I would guess. PlayStation fans will get their first look at the remake of MediEvil for PS4 next week, according to Sean Layden, chairman of Sony Interactive Entertainment Worldwide Studios. The first trailer for the modern MediEvil will drop on October 31st, according to Layden. He also clarified, appearing on this week's PlayStation Blogcast podcast, that the game will be a full remake, not simply a remaster. Layden originally described the new MediEvil as a full remaster for PS4 when he announced the title at the PlayStation Experience 2017. This is a remake, Layden said. We've taken the original game design, we've taken a lot of the key art, and some of the other attributes of the game design and ethos, if you will, and we are working with a developer called Other Ocean Interactive, and they are remaking, MediEvil in that design, the original MediEvil from PS1, the one that I worked on. Wow. Other Ocean Interactive developed IDARB and Giant Cop and is known for its co-development work and porting games like Minecraft, Stacking, and Super Time Force for non-native platforms. We're working with some of the talent that we originally associated with the title 20 years ago now, so we are making sure that we are keeping it real or keeping it to the original intent of the creators, Layden explained. It's sweet. The original version of MediEvil, a hack-and-slash adventure starring the undead knight Sir Daniel Fortesque, was developed by Sony Computer Entertainment's Cambridge studio and was released for PlayStation in 1998. And so, with the giant leap forward with, I believe that is 20 years under its belt, there you have it. We are going to be seeing at least some kind of announcement of MediEvil on the PlayStation 4. So, keep your eyes peeled on Halloween. I am sure we will be talking about it on the Halloween episode of Caffeinate right here on twitch.tv/SamuelAdamsLive. But as for right now, just cross your fingers and hope it doesn't suck. That's essentially what I have to say about that, because it has been a long time coming, and this is something people brought up over the course of the past few weeks, and I would say that might be why we are seeing some kind of tease this early on before the trailer actually does launch, because it has been almost a year since the PlayStation experience, and people are beginning to wonder what is going on. Where is MediEvil? You know, it's one of those games where it was dropped, people got excited, and nothing was said. Who knows what's going on behind the scenes? But now, we do have the confirmation that it wasn't just something that they teased us with and then took away and canceled and threw into the fire. No, it's something that could be coming out very, very soon. And we'll see when that is. Man, I wish it had launched on Halloween, though. Wouldn't that have been great, considering the nature of the game and, like, the whole skull and bones, scary MediEvil thing? That would have been awesome. That's disappointing. However, I digress. Not necessarily on my top 10 games I'm looking forward to, I must admit. However, games that you should be looking forward to, paying $20 for, are going to be coming to the PlayStation Hits collection, because there are a ton of awesome games in this new lineup. Sony has released a list of 14 new titles being added to their budget re-release range, the PlayStation Hits collection. The new titles join the line on November the 1st, where they will all retail for $19.99 USD. Among the great games on offer are Naughty Dog's Uncharted Nathan Drake collection. Again, let me reiterate, that's 3 amazing games for the price of 1. At $20. Rocksteady's dramatic Arkham Knight and excellent Lord of the Rings adventure Shadow of Mordor Game of the Year. For fighting fans, both NetherRealm's Mortal Kombat 10 and Injustice are included, as is arguably the best of the LEGO titles, LEGO Marvel Superheroes. If you fancy getting into the spirit of the season, then Horror Adventure Until Dawn has also joined the lineup, and the full list is down below. Let me clear my throat for this reading of this list. We have, as I said, Uncharted, the Nathan Drake Collection, Until Dawn, Batman Arkham Knight, Need for Speed Rivals, EA Sports UFC 2, Need for Speed, Shadow of Mordor Game of the Year Edition, Dying Light, the following. Ooh! That's cool. LEGO Marvel Superheroes, Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2, Earth Defense Force 4.1. Really? Mortal Kombat 10, Injustice Gods Among Us Ultimate Edition, Dynasty Warriors 8 Extreme Legends, Battlefield Hardline, nice, and Dragon Age Inquisition. So with this list, I will say kind of shocked to see EDF 4.1 in there. Also shocked to see Garden Warfare 2. However, very pleasantly surprised to see all of the Dying Light, all of the Battlefield Hardline, which I still defend to this day as, if not the best, one of the best Battlefield games in the entire franchise. And of course, Arkham Knight is absolutely fantastic. Now, Steffi brings up another good point. Many people already have these games. So if you do, well, I guess you can continue playing them. But if you don't, this is a fantastic way to dive into getting into these games, especially if you just get a PlayStation 4. Now, when it comes to these hits, these greatest hits, if you will, if we're going back to the PS2 era, I think this is a fantastic time to release these, because we are kind of winding down on the PlayStation 4 generation. It is going to begin to have a price drop, I would say, within the next 2 to 3 years, where you are seeing a PlayStation 4 come down in price, and more people are going to be picking them up and going back and exploring what the past 5 to 6 years of games has, you know, kind of offered. And so whenever you have all these games being offered for around $20 or less, that's a fantastic way to go back and really dig into a lot of the best titles that have come out over the course of the past 5 to 6 years. And I think that a lot of these are right up there with some of the best. Now, again, some are not. Dynasty Warriors 8 Extreme Legends. Okay, but if you did want to dive back into stuff like Dying Light the following, with all the updates and DLC that came out, if you wanted to check out Batman Arkham Knight, the Nathan Drake Collection Until Dawn, even Need for Speed, I would say, some of the best games right here are available for $20. Not too dang shabby. So if you did want to check them out, coming to a PlayStation Hits collection in a store near you, and I would recommend almost all of those. However, not some of those. But games, speaking of which, that are very good, 3 Resident Evil classics are heading to the Nintendo Switch. Resident Evil 0, and Resident Evil 4 are all coming. Ooh boy, Resident Evil 4. Capcom is bringing a trio of classic RE games to the Nintendo Switch. The company announced via Twitter today that Resident Evil 0, and Resident Evil 4 will soon shamble onto Nintendo's platform. No concrete release dates have been given, just that they will arrive sometime in 2019. Released in 1996, the first Resident Evil helped define the survival horror genre of video games. The upcoming Switch port is just the most recent in its string of console appearances. Since its initial release, it has been ported to many different platforms and has been remade twice, first in 2002 for the GameCube and again in 2015 for the Xbox One, PS4, and the PC. RE4 is also notorious for its slew of re-releases, having been ported to more than 7 different platforms across several console generations. It's not exactly surprising, given its historical impact RE4 boast. It's largely credited with reinventing the third-person action genre. This entry did away with the franchise's slow-paced emphasis on horror that cranked up the action considerably. Resident Evil 0 has received less attention since its initial 2002 release, so its inclusion in today's announcement is unexpected. This prequel to the original RE received a high-definition remaster in 2016, but hasn't received the same love as the other entries boasts. This is perhaps due to the fact that it was originally released as a post-Resident Evil 4 landscape. The series took a decidedly action-heavy turn once RE4 arrived, and REO's gameplay harkened back to the series' classic survival horror formula, which some fans felt was dated and slow, and I am one of those fans. While Capcom's announcement will be exciting for fans of the franchise, they'll likely have to wait for news of a more specific release date. Right now, Capcom is focused on getting its Resident Evil 2 remake out of the door. Yes! But still, the prospect of taking these classics on the go with the Switch is sure to please longtime survival horror fans. And this story continues the trend of Resident Evil continuing its domination, and I would say that Resident Evil 7, whenever that launched a couple of years ago, really did kick off this entire movement to get more of these RE games coming out on modern consoles, and to see them coming to the Switch is something that I question a bit because I don't know how well they will fit, but I will say that I'm glad to see these are still getting some attention, especially Resident Evil 0. I think that one could fit very well on the Switch, considering that more people might be a little bit more open-minded about their Resident Evil experience, and also I feel like a slower version of Resident Evil could fit well on Nintendo's console. However, we'll see what happens whenever these do launch. Again, we have no definitive release dates of what I understand, but we do know these 3 games are going to be coming, and depending on how well these do, you might be seeing more coming to the Nintendo Switch. But it's cool to see Capcom kind of branching out. Of course, we did have Resident Evil 7, the most recent entry, or at least the most recent new entry coming out on the Nintendo Switch via a streaming experiment kind of thing happening across the globe. So we'll see what happens if we see more of these kind of streaming experiences coming from Capcom. I know there was one other game that did that. It slips my mind at the moment. But to see these classics coming out on Nintendo's console seems good, man. Seems good. But speaking of a game that also seems to be doing pretty well, World War III sells 100,000 units in 2 days. World War III, the Farm 51's multiplayer shooter, has already passed the 100,000 units mark. Available only through Steam, World War III brings a semi-realistic take on the combined arms combat seen in many Battlefield games. Though the game's first couple of days after launch were plagued with connection issues and other problems, things seem to have recovered now. 100,000 is not an insignificant number for a relatively small game, particularly since it reached this milestone in just 2 days. In the press release announcing the news, the developer apologized to players for the state of the game at launch, though it was pleased with the game's success. Quote, "This success is truly humbling and gives us even greater motivation to continue extensive development of the game," said the developer. "We are planning to offer a form of in-game compensation for your troubles with more info coming soon," promised the Farm 51. At launch, World War III peaked with a bit over 11,000 concurrent players on Steam. Its daily average now is over 5,000, which is respectable, if minuscule compared to Steam's top 10. World War III will also be at the Warsaw Game Show this weekend, free for attendees to try out if you happen to be over there. Enjoy it if you are, but I will say right now, this game looks impressive. I just don't know if I'm going to be going all in on it, because I have this terrible feeling that we are going to be seeing the same thing with World War III that we saw with Battle Royale Islands of Nine, something along those lines. It was a weird name. But overall, for those that don't know what happened to Islands of Nine, it was showing so much promise. It was supposed to be the next big PUBG-esque game. It was one of those that I had my eye on for a very long time, and it launched. It was fun. It just didn't grab me. There were some server issues, but overall, the overall feel of the game, the overall look of the game, something was just off. It didn't mesh with players the way that the developers had obviously hoped, and now it averages at less than 20 people playing. at any given time. So there you have it. You got my money, but now I can't even play the game with a full server. And so I feel like that might be what's going to happen with World War III. I hope not. I really truly do want this game to do well. And if it continues to do well and support a player base, I might go ahead and get it in a couple of weeks or months maybe. We'll see what happens. As for right now, I'm not sure that we are going to be able to see much action coming from World War III, but we'll see what happens with this. And of course, with 100,000 units sold, there is no reason why people aren't going to be diving back in and giving World War III a shot now that these server issues have balanced out. The only question is how many of those have already moved on and forgotten that they ever bought the game to begin with. That's the big question. Now, Lost in the chat says, whoa, Caffeinate on Twitch. Whoa, you are absolutely right. Alan says, oh, you're still here. Excuse me. And yes, indeed, I am. And indeed, we are here going through the gaming news of the day. And for you podcast listeners out there, if you're still here, hey, how you doing? I appreciate you. Thanks for listening. But moving on to the next topic of the day. Team Sonic Racing is now delayed until spring of 2019. Sega pumped the brakes. Sega has announced that their upcoming Tarmac Burner Sonic Team Racing will not make its originally scheduled winter 2018 release date. The game has been rescheduled for release in May of next year. Speaking on Twitter, Sega admitted the delays are no fun, but quality matters most. Thanks for your patience. We've got more to show you for TSR very soon. It was already looking pretty shake as we approach November, but we are still yet to hear the release date for the tag team style kart racer. Team Sonic Racing, which was hinted at forever before finally being revealed at the start of the year, sees Sonic, Tails, Amy, Knuckles, and many other characters enter a racing tournament hosted by the mysterious Dodonpa? Dodonpa? Sure, why not? The game will contain challenges and Grand Prix tournaments as well as a full story mode, which is also playable in co-op with a pal. And it's expected to launch in May of 2019 on the PS4. So, there you go. If you did want to dive into a kart racer, then by all means dive into it, and it should be pretty good if you did want to dive into that. But overall, of the past kart racing games that have been coming out, I think there is room for this Team Sonic Racing, and I think that now that it's out of the winter time frame, it could do pretty well considering May is a generally open time when it comes to game releases. It could be a pretty good time if you did want to dive into that. But again, we'll see how it goes whenever the summer does roll around for 2019. And again, May 2019 for the PlayStation 4 could be pretty good. Also, to everybody coming in the chat, welcome on in. Glad to see so many people hanging out live over here on Twitch. Again, weeknights, 7 p.m. You can come here. You can get some of this. All the gaming news. I love it. But moving on to the next story of the day, Pokémon Go, a game that has taken the world by storm and is beginning a bit of a resurgence, is finally tracking your walking distance in the background. Adventure Sync feature will make it easier to hatch eggs and collect candy. That's right, your phone isn't going to die in your back pocket. You do indeed just walk, and now it measures it. But a few major features are on the way to Pokemon Go. Adventure Sync will at long last allow players to continue tracking their walking distance without having the game active or having a Pokemon Go Plus tracker. This is a huge relief for anyone invested in hatching eggs and collecting Pokemon Buddy Candy, both of which require logging a lot of steps. If you have a huge array of 10-kilometer eggs you're trying to hatch, for example, now you can do it much more easily. The game can be idle or outright closed to do so. The update should make a helpful impact on our phone batteries and data plans. Adventure Sync uses the iOS Health Kit and Android Google Fit apps, and it will offer additional data to players about their exercise levels. Each week, the feature will provide a summary of how far players have walked over the course of the week, broken down into calories and steps. That information is then sent over to Pokemon Go so that players' physical activity can have a direct effect on the mobile game. They'll also unlock rewards based on how much they've moved throughout the 7-day period. Could be pretty cool. Niantic CEO John Hagee, I believe is how you say his name, wrote in a blog post that Adventure Sync won't be exclusive to Pokemon Go. It's a real-world platform that the company plans to integrate into its other projects as well. Quote, 47% of trainers indicated that they felt their physical activity level had increased since playing, and the same number felt that playing Pokemon Go helped them connect with others, he wrote. This type of response from the community reinforces our commitment to not only create innovative real-world games, but also to invest in features like Adventure Sync, which provides a gentle but effective motivation loop that encourages people to get outside and be active every single day. Adventure Sync is expected to launch sometime in the coming weeks. Please don't stop walking around with Pokemon Go as you wait for the feature, though. Keep that physical activity up, and there you guys have it. Get into it if you did want to get into it. But if you are already playing Pokemon Go, that will keep you active, that will keep you sane, that will keep you going for a long time. if you did want to get those steps going on in. Now, I talk about Pokemon Go because I played it briefly whenever it first launched, and it's something that helped me out tremendously, okay? So I'm not going to get deep or anything with you, but around the time that Pokemon Go launched, in fact, on the day that Pokemon Go actually launched, I had a surgery. I got all of my additional skin removed from where I lost a ton of weight. And so whenever I was laying in a bed recovering, I was wanting to get out and move around and walk and stuff. And so, of course, the rest of the world was being taken by storm with Pokemon Go. Now, around the time when I was finally able to get up and walk and go out and do like a ton of other stuff, I finally downloaded Pokemon Go, and so I would walk up and down my street very slowly so as not to rip my stitches open or anything, and I would walk around my neighborhood and I would collect eggs and I would hatch them and I would do all these things. And so, although I don't play Pokemon Go anymore, although I've never been a big fan of Pokemon, I still have a connection to this game. And so now that it's actually, you know, kind of coming into its own and it's becoming what people have been wanting it to be, I'm just, you know, happy about the fact that people are finally able to experience the game that Niantic intended to release. And so that is a fantastic feature, to be able to simply close the app and save your phone battery and data. And I think that's something that many people are going to be using. So if you haven't already, download Pokemon Go. It's a pretty good time. And see for yourself what the worldwide sensation is all about if you did want to do that. But the final story of the day, all right, I don't want to condone this by talking about it, but let's go ahead and dive into it. Twitch streamer locks himself in a cage for 30 days, okay? Now, I want to say that it is twitch.tv/Johnny_now. And I'm not going to read through this entire article because it's actually an interview that is done via Kotaku with the individual. But I will say that this man essentially wanted to do a 30-day cleanse. Okay, he wanted to do a 30-day cleanse. And so essentially, he had to give up, I believe it says, food, like junk food, soda, and weed. And he is 22 days into the entire adventure now, and he has been locked in a cage. Now, you might be saying, Sam, why didn't he just go ahead and, I don't know, not go to fast food restaurants, or perhaps just not buy any more pot over the course of a month, or do a lot of these other things that you might do before locking yourself in a cage? Well, guys, because the internet can make you famous for this. So he has been interviewed by 2 different outlets. I forget the other one, but Kotaku is one that has gotten a lot of coverage. And, yeah, so he's been in there for 24 hours a day for 22 days out of the 30 that he's got going on so far, and he is determined to finish out without giving up. Now, I will say he has gained a lot of followers over the course of the past couple of weeks, and on top of that, he has also created his own society within his cage. That is right, I believe as of yesterday, it was election day that he was holding within his cage village that he has, where he is the mayor. Yeah, so that's going on. So, yeah, if you did want to dive in and check out the insanity for yourself, you can head over to twitch.tv/_Johnny now and see for yourself this individual in a cage who got very excited whenever he almost hit 80 viewers. And that could be something that, I'm not doing that. Like, I'll go a pretty far way to entertain you fine people. I will create a podcast. I will upload multiple YouTube videos throughout the day during conference season. I will post a weekly video letting you know what games are coming out. I might even put on an apron and bake some bread for you without a shirt on. But that's about as far as I'm going to go. All right, I'm not locking myself in a cage. I'm not building a cage. I'm not doing any of that. That's not happening. Like, no. So if you did want to do that again, twitch.tv/Johnny now. Interesting stuff if you did want to check a dude in a cage out for, I don't know, like 12 hours a day. Could be interesting if you did want to see that. But as for right now, that wraps up today's episode of Caffeinate. I appreciate you who've joined me live on Twitch. It is fantastic to have the show on a platform where live content is celebrated and where live content is adopted, and I'm so happy to be in the Twitch talk shows and podcast directory. I think it's going to be fantastic for the show, but of course it is going to be taken down, then uploaded over on youtube.com/SamuelAdamsMedia. And of course, if you did want to subscribe to the podcast version of the show, it's available on Anchor.fm and therefore on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, tons of other stuff if you did want to check it out over there. But of course, as for right now, that has been another week of Caffeinate. I will be back on Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time for another episode of this show, and keep your eyes peeled for a stream or two this coming weekend, because I do want to play some Black Ops 4. However, Red Dead Redemption 2 is a game that should not be streamed. However, it should definitely be played. Definitely. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Enjoy the rest of your night. And again, I appreciate you guys being here, hanging out for the podcast. Peace.